What's happening, guys? Silent Mike back on the couch. Haven't been on this couch in a while. I want to talk about powerlifting. The growth of powerlifting over the last couple years, I'd say 3 to 5 years, has been absolutely insane, especially over here in the IPF and the USAPL, the drug tested side. But there's also non-drug tested powerlifting, the USPA, the UPA, the SPF, very popular as well. They're both growing. And I guess today, because I've been watching the USAPL Raw Nationals, USA Powerlifting, drug tested, and some of the insane numbers I've been seeing lifted in all weight classes, guys and girls, it's been crazy impressive. And I want to just kind of talk and compare and contrast some of the records, I guess, in the non-drug tested compared to the tested. Now, I just got these numbers, these records off of Powerlifting Watch, which is a popular website that has some information on powerlifting, different gyms, different meets, things like that. Pretty good resource. It also has records, but I don't know how recently updated they are. But for the moving on to the total. In the 123 class, the best drug tested total is 1306, while the best non-drug tested is 1339. The best 165 drug tested is 1609, and the best non-drug tested at 165 is 1669. So let's go there. So we're at the 242 pound weight class, which is my homie Bryce Lewis, and he's totaled 1918, 2016, which I believe he just crushed this last weekend. Not sure his total, but he beat that. And the 242 non-drug tested is Larry Williams with a 2171. So at the 275 pound weight class, again, we have Stan Efferding with a 2226 total in 2011. And right now we have Dennis Cornelius at the 264 with a 2175. Ray Williams is the biggest total ever in super heavyweights with sleeves, drug tested and non, with 2436. Going to the 181 class, now I bring up all these numbers and I wanted to just give you some examples of the current records in the drug tested and non-drug tested done within the last 3 or 4 years. And I feel like over this last weekend, I saw more and more 700 pound deadlifts by guys that weigh under 200 pounds, more and more 500 pound benches by guys that weigh 200 and more, all in this drug tested category. And a lot of these numbers, I feel like over the last 20 years, 30 years, have gotten closer and closer together, the non-drug tested numbers and the drug tested numbers. Some of this training and athletes have become, and number one is just that it's more popular in our genetic pool. The amount of good athletes we're getting into powerlifting is going up. Some of the ladies numbers are going through the roof. I can't name how many girls 6 years ago pulled over 300 pounds. It was just a handful, and now there's girls smashing on 400, 450, 500 pound deadlifts in the drug tested category in almost every weight class. It's absolutely insane, and that's just because more strong people are finding out about the sport of powerlifting, hopefully because of this channel, hopefully because of Instagram, hopefully because of all my awesome friends that also put up content on the internet, and that they're finding the right way to train. So our genetic pool is going up. More people you get involved, the higher it goes, right? That's why we have the most genetic freaks in football and basketball professionally. One, because there's money and there's exposure and there's a lifestyle. So at a young age, the best athletes are funneled to the top, and that's starting to happen on a smaller scale here in powerlifting. Number two, I would say, is just the general information out there is of better quality. Some of the channels have the same idea and the same information, whether it's experience-based or science-based or a combination of both, that will actually are good tips that will help you lead to get a stronger, more aesthetic body. Along with that same nature of the general sport growing because of the internet, because of Instagram, because of all these popular people, programming in general, I feel has all been elevated. They have a better plan to get somewhere, and of course, if you have a plan, you're going to get somewhere faster. That's why people use GPS. That's why people go to school. You need a game plan if you want to get somewhere, and more people are understanding that, and they're building better plans, and they're staying in the game longer. Now, obviously, drugs and things are playing a role in all strength sports. It's part of the fitness industry. It's part of the Olympics. I love the movie Icarus. I talked about it before, and it's part of professional sports. The difference between a natural pro bodybuilder and a pro bodybuilder is absolutely insane. Some of the pro IFBB guys are stepping on stage upwards of 250 pounds at under 4% body fat, or a natural pro bodybuilder, if they're stepping on stage at sub 4% body fat, they're typically 150, 160, 170 pounds. So that, just logic is telling me that performance enhancing drugs or steroids will help you put on more mass. And that's a huge discrepancy. We're almost talking about 100 pounds of lean body tissue, where in the strength world, we're not seeing quite the discrepancy. So I'm not saying that steroids do or do not help more for strength or putting on mass. I've never used any of it, but the numbers that are coming together closer and closer and closer in the non-drug tested and drug tested powerlifting federations, I think show a little bit that the USAPL and the IPF genetic pool may also be bigger than the people. And again, all of these, one way or the other, are not saying that because you compete in a non-drug tested federation that you use performance enhancing drugs. And it's also to say that if you're in a drug tested federation that you're not using performance enhancing drugs. I'm sure there's crossover in both. There's a lot of critique in the IPF and the USAPL about how stringent their drug testing is. I don't know firsthand. I know they do a urine test at competitions and they do some out of competition testing. It's not as same as the Olympic level or even USAW, USA weightlifting. It might not be as stringent. But again, there's people in the Olympics, if you watch the movie Icarus, and there's people in the NBA, NFL that are also using performance-enhancing drugs, being very stringent on their testing and still getting by the system somehow. And that's also not to say that on the other end, because there's other factors and rules involved, like a deadlift bar or a monolift, where people that choose to not use performance-enhancing drugs compete in the non-drug tested federation, which I have many a time. Salam alaikum.